Hello and welcome to the very first Chit Chat Podcast. My name is Evan O'Hanlon, for anyone who doesn't know me, which is probably a lot of people. I'm 21, from Ireland, currently living in London. Now, I'm in my graduating year at Bird College, where I've trained in professional musical theatre and dance. And I've always wanted to do a podcast for some time now. So I finally decided that during isolation, it was the perfect time to take a leap of faith and give it a go. Now, in this podcast, we'll be talking all things musical theatre and the entertainment industry. Right now, it's a crazy time period for everyone. But for recent graduates of musical theatre college across the UK and elsewhere, like myself, it was meant to be one of the most exciting times of our lives. Getting an agent and auditioning and finally finishing college, and it's all come to a halt. There are lots of West End industry professionals giving talks and free classes and Q&As and everything right now, which is absolutely amazing. And I think all students, we can come together and say a big thank you for all of that. But I thought it would be the good idea to give graduates another platform and a voice to take an insight on how different students are coping with all of this, how they are feeling, and hopefully inspire graduates that may not be coping so well with all of this. Look, we are all in this together, and today I am joined by some wonderful graduates to tell us how they are getting on. I am joined by Liam McAvoy from Lane Theatre Arts, Carla Balls from Bird College UK, and Ellie Rose from Erdang. Guys, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
It's strange times, isn't it?
Very strange
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
Look, we'll start with Liam. Liam, how is lockdown treating you?
Yeah, lockdown is crazy. So I left on the end of March, whenever Lane decided to close, and I obviously had the decision, I'm from Ireland, so I was like, do I go back and get stuck there? And obviously I've got quite a big family,
Of course.
so I wouldn't have had a lot of space to do online college. But then obviously back then we didn't realize we'd be doing college on Zoom.
We didn't realize the impact of it.
I know. So I was like, my housemate's offered for me to stay at hers in Sheffield. I'll just go for a couple of weeks and then we'll be back. And here I am 2 months later.
And how are you guys getting on, Carla?
Yeah, it's a massive roller coaster of emotions, isn't it? One week you're, yes, I'm so ready for this. I'm going to do this class. And then the next week you're just watching every Netflix program. And it's a strange time, but we just have to think positively. We're in a house, we are safe. I like to think that us haven't got the virus, but it's just such a strange time. But we'll pull through.
We've all just got to persevere and move on. Ellie, I'm going to bring the next question to yourself. How is obviously lockdown treating you, and how is college right now? Is it weird adjusting to Zoom lessons, and what are college doing to help you guys?
So basically, they didn't have a plan straight away. It's kind of developed as it's gone along. But they have been really, really good at trying to keep classes as normal as possible, because we'd normally be, this week was actually meant to be our show week. So we normally wouldn't have normal classes now. We'd just be doing rehearsals. So instead of obviously doing that, we're doing kind of a digital show reel show instead of Link that we'd normally do. And then the Zoom classes. So that's really good. And obviously it means we're still gonna get our work out there kind of thing. And then the Zoom classes is obviously a more minimal timetable. And it's just mainly things like bodycon, which obviously has been amazing. Just things that you can do in your house. You can't really do a full out jazz class in your your bedroom.
Yeah, you can't do jetés across the floor and everything, you know?
Yeah, I feel like my mum and dad would not appreciate that either, as much as I kind of want to do that. But things like private singing lessons, which obviously you can do by sending videos and stuff like that. So I think it's kind of just no one really knows what to do.
Of course. And
everyone's kind of just doing their best. And I think it's working. And for me, I don't know about anyone else, but I feel like it is going quite fast.
Yeah, it's hit or miss, isn't it? You think it would go slow, but for me, I'm after going, wow, what are we, 7-8 weeks into it now? Which kind of brings me on to Carla, besides college, what's keeping you motivated, and how hard is it to stay motivated? Because I think it's good for people to realize it's okay to have bad days and not be motivated. Like, have a Netflix day if you want to have a Netflix day. Like, there's no correct way to deal with all of this. And like, if you are struggling, I recommend like FaceTime a friend, message me on at the Chit Chat Podcast on Instagram. I'm happy to talk openly about it all. And I feel it's good to talk. Would you agree?
100%. I think even in normal life, you have good days and bad days. Like you have like where you can't turn and you just can't do anything in a dance class. And then you have the best days where you're on the stage and you're performing, and just in normal life as well. But it's okay to have a bad day, because those bad days give you the motivation to have a good day, because you don't want to feel like that again. Like I know when I lie in bed, like it's always on a Sunday, I don't know why, but on a Sunday I'm just like lying in bed scrolling through Instagram and just like, oh, I don't want to feel like that. And it gives you that rocket to then be like, okay, Monday, let's go, let's do a class, let's find something else. But even if it's not doing performing, like I know my cooking has got so much better because
you were a bad cook beforehand.
Yeah, I was a dreadful cook before, but it's just finding new things, and like we've got so much time on our hands to do new things and explore new things, but it's okay to just sit and just not do anything.
And
like
I think people have to realize, like, I know people post a lot of things like on social media, like how to like keeping fit and stuff, and that is amazing. And I like hats off to those type of guys that like do that, because that's what's helping them cope through it all. But I think it's just to not get bogged down in what you see online, and just know that it's okay, because we're all in the same boat. There's no correct way to just to deal with that. And I know personally, I'm talking about it because I was like that at the very start, and it's only in the last few weeks that I've actually started to get motivation and get the urge to do stuff. So that's why I want to talk so much about it and get graduates aware that there's other people that are in the same boat and feel the exact same.
Yeah, like I found like the days when I've like seen loads of things on social media and I've been like, I'm going to do this class, I'm going to do this, I'm going to record this, and the days when I like put more pressure on myself, like I think some form of pressure is good. Like you need to motivate yourself, and obviously there's going to be an element of this when we're out like back to normal life if we're not in work. So I think it's good practice to be able to motivate yourself. But I think when I've like put loads of pressure on myself to do a huge list of things and learn this new skill, and like it's just a bit too much. And I think if I get up one day and I feel like, oh, I don't fancy doing dance, I fancy doing singing today, then that's all right. Like you don't have to stick to a strict timetable.
Absolutely. And Liam, outside of college, because I see that you do classes outside of Lane, like what kind of classes do you recommend, or what kind of classes are you doing at the moment?
Yeah, so I feel like when I got here, like, and all these like Instagram classes started, I was literally like, what is this? This is so weird.
Literally.
But I did like so much more commercial than I usually would, just because I feel like that is the most accessible, especially like in a house or a garden, because you're just like. So I've done like David Danville. I've done oh my god, I can't even think.
There's so many to choose from, isn't it?
Yeah, there's loads. So but like our college timetable's pretty full on at the moment. Yeah. So I've kind of just been like following that, and then like kind of if there's like a class that I see and I'm like, oh, I'll do that. I'll like make time for that.
And like speaking on the topic of college, I have a question for all of you guys. For me, like kind of thinking back, what's your favorite moment or memory or thing you miss about college? Like I get the ball rolling. For me personally, it's during show term at college. You know, when the sun is shining, you go to Tesco's, Sainsbury's, whatever it is, you get a nice lolly. We're all sitting outside after having a long rehearsal, and you talk to people from other years and other classes. You talk to people that might necessarily be in your year, but you've never actually kind of got the chance to speak. And I thought, for me, that's what I miss the most, that atmosphere that you get at college during show term. For me, I think that is what I miss and would love to have back again. What about you guys?
I feel like aside from like living with like people from college, because that is probably what I miss the most, the fact that I'm just around them all the time, like because I live with 3 other Erdaggers. Aside from that, I would probably just say like the general atmosphere of show term, like you said, like not necessarily just like, you know, sunshine and chilling with everyone, just like the like working towards something. I think for a lot of performers, like the team effort of working towards something and then completing it, that's like what I miss, because at the minute there's nothing like big to work towards, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. What about yourselves, Carla, Liam?
I think I completely agree. It's all about the shows, isn't it? And the performing and just being around your friends and the atmosphere. But this is also going to sound very cringe, but
go on.
I come from a place where it's like small houses, small buildings, like a beach, and it's just so quiet. But I miss that London life. I miss walking in. Like when you walk into Bird, it's just like the building is just amazing. And every day I was like, oh my God, this is so big. And I miss that. I miss that little butterfly you get.
Yeah.
Like the studios and just, I
suppose like the whole... yeah, especially like the whole hustle and bustle of it all. Like especially for grads, like you're running 1 minute to Pineapple to audition, you're running back, and then you're doing your third year musical, and you have all this stuff going on. And I feel like for me personally, it was all so active, and I had something going on at every second. And then when it all just stops, it's just so hard. I found it hard. I felt like I needed to do something, but then I was finding myself unmotivated to do something. So that was like the constant battle for me. But like, I suppose talking about auditions and auditioning, like it's a scary time because lots of people had recall for stuff which have now been postponed, and like self-tapes and all that. That's like the first new round for everything. What do you think is going to happen to the future of auditions? Because I know that's a tough question, because I doubt for the next while we'll see like all of us crammed into Pineapple at a cruise audition, like everyone on top of each other, not able to kick your leg or whatever. Not that mine goes very high, but I do miss looking back at it now. I go, wow, I'd love to be in a room, a sweaty room, cramped with a load of strangers and auditioning for something. So I suppose, like, what do you think is going to happen? I can't get my head around it.
Yeah, like I feel like a lot of like maybe first rounds that would have been like singing rounds might do like be self tapes, but for me, I'm like, but what if I was going to be at a dance call? Like, so it's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like it depends when theaters are actually allowed open.
Like, are you going to do that combo that's going across the floor and then you go out the door and either walk back round or you don't? Like, you know what I mean? How do you do that on self-tapes? It's crazy. And like, another thing is, suppose, like speaking hypothetically about the future and all that, I'm sure you're aware of this, what Cameron McIntosh said to Michael Ball on BBC Radio 2. And like, I'll read out the statement. He said, "We want audience to feel safe and we want actors to feel safe. We will be back, but we need time to get back. If we don't hear about lockdown lifting in a few weeks, I think the truth is we won't be able to come back until early next year. I think that's quite clear. And the longer it is until we can say social distancing is gone, the longer it will be for theatres to come back." Now, obviously, that sparked up everything on Twitter with like people saying it's the end of theatre and all this kind of stuff. But like, how did that make you feel? Because for me personally, I got really excited about the return of like theater, and I think the comeback is going to be absolutely sensational. Like, we really are a great community, and I think we've really shown that to each other. Like, you see constantly on Twitter people like bringing people up, sharing their self-tapes, sharing their vocal reels and all this kind of stuff. And then you see the likes of Steve Amir and Matthew Bourne always sharing their like old dance clips, like to share inspiration. Philip Joel is also doing that kind of, you know, the stuff that he's doing at the moment, like all the comedy sketches. So I think the community has really come together. And like, based on what he said, how do you feel about the future? Are you scared? Are you nervous? Are you anxious?
I think, oh, you go first, Carla.
Oh, thank you. I think right now, my advice is to take day by day and live in the present, live in this time that we have, and ask yourself every day, if I was to come out of lockdown tomorrow, would I be good to do that? And I think that's what I've started to ask myself. So I'm making sure that I use every day wisely, than to think ahead, because when you think about it, you're like, that's so scary. Like, that could be, like, I mean, the plague went on for years and years. Do you know what I mean? So you never know. Like, it's going to change, and we won't be normal for a very long time. But at the same time, we can only hope and pray that I want to be in the West End that night watching the show. Yeah. Because how amazing would it be? Because just that energy. But yeah, I think live in the present. Yeah. Because then it makes it hopeful for the future.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Ellie,
I was gonna say, obviously, like, we don't even know when things like shops and like, you know, more essential things are going to be opening, and who really knows. But I think it's just important to like find the positives in this time. We had through Erdang, we had a Zoom like Q&A with Drew McConey, and he said something that literally resonated with me so much, because he was saying, like, as a graduate, there's a lot of times where grads feel as if they've been left behind when they've graduated. Then they've not got that audition that their friends got, or they've not got I know they've not got the agent that they wanted, or they've not got an agent yet. And I feel like we're all in the same boat. Everything's on hold. Even the most successful performers are doing exactly the same as what we're doing. Like, they're doing Zoom classes the way we are. And if we can think of this as like a way to find what we like when we've not got work, or find what like motivates us, then we can almost look at it as a bit of a blessing that no one's being left behind. We're all in the same boat, and when it does eventually, like, it will, obviously we will have theatre again. We don't know when, but it'll just come back even better than before, I think.
Like, of course, that's like what the debate was. Like, Cameron McIntosh never said, oh, it is coming, it will come back next year. He's just saying he thinks it might, based off what's going on in the world. But yeah, like you said, it's like we're not missing out on anything. It's just kind of hard sometimes when you're at home and you're away from everyone. You think, oh, but, you know, everyone's doing this, but nothing's happening. Like, even like people that are on stage right now, they are in the same boat as us, like you said, Ellie, which is a really interesting point. And I think, like, briefly, we go back to college for a second. I'll bring this one to kind of lame there. What do you think about current first and second years? And I mean, respect to them all, because they're learning so much and have to learn so much for their assessment pieces and all of this kind of stuff. How do you see colleges moving forward? Like, because I think because social distancing and all that is such a big part in what we do at college. Like, what do you think the future has in store for those guys?
I know, I was only talking about this today because I feel like we're so lucky as third years, because I feel like the teachers are all like, we're like, you're our focus, like we'll do whatever it is to like help you guys. Because I feel like as third years, we kind of are in the worst situation.
100%.
But then I was thinking, like, the second years, like, they're kind of going into September unknown, like, will they be going back? Like, will their timetable be cut down because of social distancing?
And I
feel really bad for them.
Yeah, I think we got kind of lucky in a sense that the majority of our training was done. But for these guys, they've still got a long way to go. And like, I salute them, because they're probably in a lot more struggle than us. Do you know what I mean? For us, we're going to go on, carry on.
Yeah, and I enjoy Zoom lessons, but I would not be able to do another term of college on Zoom. Like, absolutely not.
So, like, talk about, like, at home. We were just talking about this, Liam, briefly before we started the podcast. I think a lot of graduates living at home again, it's just so strange. Not for just graduates, for all kind of students. Like, it takes a lot of readjusting compared to, like, living on your own terms as what we're used to, and, like, getting back to with your families and told, can you do this, and living under rules again, I suppose. It can be quite stressful. Like, how are you guys coping with being back home? Or if you're not home, like yourself, Liam, how are you guys coping with it all? Because I know me being stuck at home, I'm having these weird nightmares. Like, I keep waking up during the night, like I keep having like the sweats, and I go, oh, these bad dreams and all. And it is a struggle sometimes. And I know, look, it's great to be home with family and stuff, but I think it is for all of us, it's just to readjust again. It's quite difficult. So how are you guys coping with being back home? Start with you, Ellie.
Oh, I actually really do love being back home, because it will probably be the longest I've spent at home in like 3 years.
Yeah.
And also, it will probably be the longest I'll ever spend in my family home, like, again, like, in a big chunk of time. Like, because obviously I plan on moving back to London. And I think it's important to remember, like, because obviously my mum and dad, like, I'm the youngest, so when I moved out, that was my mum and dad, like, with no kids living at home. And I think it's important to remember that, like, they've also got used to not having me at home as well. And that sometimes I do have to remind myself of that. And I'm like, okay, like, I have just come back like a bombshell and been like, I'm back, kind of thing. And it is lovely, and it's so nice to spend time with them. I think, like, and for me as well, like, I live in like quite a like countryside area, so I do really enjoy like being back home and just being in like the greenness of it all. But yeah, I think just like remembering that it's a change for everyone,
of course.
Really. But I absolutely love being back home.
Yeah,
I really do.
And Liam, how are you getting on?
Well, I think for me, it's like your independence is like stripped away overnight.
Yeah.
But I'm so thankful. Like I'm so happy I have my friend Alex. Like we're literally like getting each other through this. Obviously, like I miss my family so much, but the way I'm thinking of it, like I wasn't meant to be home anyway.
Yeah.
So, like, and I'm sure I'll go home as soon as they open the borders.
Yeah, and I'm sure your mammy will be waiting in the airport for a big hug. Carla, how are you getting on? What's it like for you?
I completely agree with the other two. I think it is so nice being home and so nice being with family, but it does strip away your independence, and like it's so not. I'm so lucky where I live. Like I'm by a beach, so I can go out and do the things I used to do when I was little. So it's like reminding me of the past life, but then at the same time, I'm like, oh, I miss being in London. Like it's just so different. But it's just everyone's adapting, and even like we say like normal people, and then like us because we do some weird things, but everybody is adapting, and it's so crazy to see how everyone is reacting to just everything changing.
And I suppose the last but not least, I would like to just ask you guys individually before we go. I like to keep these kind of stuff short and sweet, but what advice would you give to current grads right now that are maybe struggling or maybe not struggling, but just in general, what kind of advice would you guys give to other grads? Start off with whoever feels they can answer this the first.
That's a hard question. I just want to, think about my answer before I say it.
I would say, remember, like we have finished our training, like pretty much. We're all, like I know for Lane anyway, like the last term is summer term, so it's all about the show. So you're not really doing classes like you're doing rehearsals. So we're fine. Like we are ready. And I feel like graduating as it is scary enough, but it's exciting. But I feel like me personally, like I'm forgetting about that exciting element because I'm like, there's nothing to be excited about. It's just scary now. I'm like, no, it will be fine. Like, and once things get up and running, I feel like when this is all over and like theaters do open, people will want to go to the theater. Like it's gonna just like bounce back. Like people aren't spending their money right now. They'll have money to buy tickets. like it. So like that's my advice. Like just remember that we have our training and like it'll be fine.
What about yourself, Carla? I know you're one for all the inspiration.
I think like if I'm ever down or sad, I always like go for quotes, or I always try and reach out for inspiration. But it's okay to have those bad days, like it really is. And even if you do have those bad days, do things that will try and make you better. So like there was one day I just stayed in bed and I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing today. I was so angry with the world. And I was like, no. But then I was like, do you know what? If I came out of lockdown tomorrow, would I be ready? No. And I just shut out of bed and then did Bobby's Bakery. So you just have to find those sparks and inspirations that make you want to do this. But if this makes you decide that it's not for you, then that's acceptable as well. Like everything's fine. Take each day as it comes. And also I've been doing like mood boards and like dream roles and stuff like that to remind myself why I'm doing this. But we can pull through. Like we will do this. And do you know what? The whole industry is just reaching out to us grads, and we're very lucky. Like everyone's doing self-hate Fridays and thank you to the industry. Like and like these Q&As, and it's just amazing. But it is okay to have a day and watch Netflix. Like it's fine. Take each day as it comes.
I can tell you, I've had plenty of them. Go on, Ellie. Hit us home with something big now. We're all waiting and listening for you now to hit us with the big one. Go on.
I was just gonna say, like, just remember like why you started performing in the first place. Like, because sometimes even at college, you would have had days where you've been like, oh, I'm having a down day, or I feel unmotivated. Like, obviously it feels different because we're at home and we've not got our friend to go and like have a little rant to, but just like remember why you did it. And also, yeah, remind yourself that we are really lucky. Like if you just go on Twitter, there's so much support, there's different agencies reaching out, there's, you know, all these lives that you can watch. And even if it's not, I don't know, even if it's not like getting up and doing a class or getting up and singing or doing a self-tape, like even if you just, you know, there's so many different like bits of live theatre that you can watch as well. Like even if you just do that, if you want to stay in bed, you want to just watch something, like maybe do that, and then you will feel like you've done a little bit of something productive. And just don't be too hard on yourself. Like use social media when you want it for the benefits of the classes, and if you keep seeing loads of things that are just making you feel like you're not doing anything, just have a little break from it. I think that.
Oh, she hit it home there. And exactly, whatever you do, don't download Disney Plus or you will not get off the couch, because they're just releasing Hamilton soon. So don't do that. Guys, I just want to say that's all we have time for today. But thank you so much to the wonderful Liam McAvoy, Carla Balls and Ellie Rose. You've been really great sports today. And I really hope that we've inspired at least one graduate or some graduates that are struggling right now just to keep spirits. And like, please remember to please subscribe to the YouTube channel and Apple Podcasts, and make sure to give us a follow on Instagram at the Chit Chat Podcast. But I just personally want to say, like, before we go, I've written this down because I wanted to make sure I could say how I feel correctly. Look, we are all in this together. Class of 2020, we've got this, and we are going to get our time. We will get to hug our college friends again, and we will get the graduations that we deserve. And I'm going to leave it on this quote from Michelle Obama, which I think is actually really quite powerful. It's this: you may not always have a comfortable life, and you will not be able to solve all the world's problems at once. But don't underestimate the importance you can have, because history has shown us that courage can be contagious and hope can take on a life of its own. Guys, I'm Evan O'Hanlon from the Chit Chat Podcast. Until next time, thank you so much for listening.